Hello, welcome to Patched. I'm your host Paul James, and today I'm joined by Jay Parnas.
Hi, hello.
We're here talking E3 once again, and we're up to Ubisoft this time.
Yes.
A much better press conference than Bethesda, and a much better one than EA. I would argue, I think.
Oh, yeah?
In a green sissy. A much better performance from Ubisoft anyway, compared to what
Yes.
the awful mess last year was, basically.
I mean, look, it just didn't drag this year.
It seems like a few of the companies, Microsoft and Microsoft and Ubisoft specifically, really took notes from what Sony did last year with the
I would even argue that EA did that as well.
Good point.
Like, they didn't drag. Like, their sports is their sports, but I mean, at the end of the day, like we say it every year, it is still a business
thing first and foremost.
It is a trade show.
Even though they're dropping F-bombs more and more often in these press conferences. Very, very non-business.
Fuck it, it's the 90s, man. We can do what we want.
Yeah. So we'll kick things off. We're just going in alphabetical order here, so we're going to be all over the shop when it comes to the order and the sequence of how this.
So we're going to start with Zumba. Assassin's Creed.
Or Assassin's Creed Egypt Origins.
Yeah.
They showed off a gameplay chunk there. Most of it was Microsoft yesterday. We said that we'd talk a little bit more about it there. So what did you actually make of what you saw specifically yesterday from...
I couldn't tell. They were playing it on the screen with such glare that I couldn't...
That's true. Look, so what we saw at Microsoft yesterday was... I was really quite impressed with this.
It looks good.
It looks nice.
There was a great Breath of the Wild moment where you jumped off a tree and like slow-mo arrowed to face.
No, that was really cool. And then they had gameplay today, and for some reason Ubisoft decided they were going to cross to Egypt.
Yeah.
Where someone's playing it on a teeny tiny little monitor.
Yeah, it was some
shit ton of
some back room where like it was real rough. I don't know whose idea that was, but man, they're looking for work right now, I'll bet.
Yeah.
Like it was.
Yeah, no, that.
Like you could not see what was going on at all.
It was really, really quite dumb. But the game itself is looking quite good. I'm really, really happy. I'm glad they took their year off. I'm hopeful that this...
I'm still not convinced.
You're not a big Assassin's Creed.
I mean, I really enjoyed 2. And the sequel to 2,
most people did.
Not 3, the
Brotherhood.
Yeah, like those 2 were great.
Revelations wasn't.
No, it wasn't. But man, did I buy it?
See,
didn't buy Black Flag.
I think most people who've played a fair chunk of Assassin's Creed will put, not necessarily in this specific order, but 2, Brotherhood, Black Flag, and then the most recent one, Syndicate.
Syndicate, yeah.
Kind of put them up in the top bracket there. Like that's where it's at. And then
when they lost the sci-fi present day stuff, I kind of stopped caring because I actually was quite interested in that.
What for now?
Yeah, it's like, okay, well, why am I playing an assassin in the past? Like, what motivation do I have? Am I just like, is it just a story? And if it's just a story, then what's the point?
Yeah, but I mean, we play plenty of other games that never had these sci-fi settings. Like set in the past, and
but what's the continuous thread? Is it killing people?
No, there's not really that continuous thread anymore.
I think that's why I
sort of things.
I guess that's why I care a little less.
No, fair enough. It can.
I mean, it's usually a protagonist that you kind of care about with those. And I just like if it's just Mr. No Name kills everybody. Like
so Syndicate, I think people put that up there. Like it acts that sci-fi narrative. There's kind of you're wandering out. I think in like the Ubisoft offices.
I think that was Black Flag that they did that.
And they kind of continued that in a few others.
Oh, did they?
You're still wandering around.
Unity, they definitely did, but I think did they keep it going for?
I'm fairly sure it's Syndicate. Yeah.
Okay.
You wander around those offices, you jump in the Animus, and then you just jump in. And the Fry's story was really like Evie and what's his name Fry, were really quite interesting. I like the story that they told, and it didn't connect to the sci-fi rubbish, and I appreciated that.
I like the Desmond story.
Yeah. Oh, look, I didn't mind it as well. It got a little weird and wacky at the end of.
I mean, it was pretty.
It was weird.
It was that. Yeah, like it was always that. Like there was that weird thing where they had to lose part of their finger to show that they weren't they were assassins, and then immediately cut that from future games from 2 onwards. It's like, all right, cool, man.
We've realised that that's not a thing that we need to do anymore.
Yeah, we could just do this instead of this. Like, okay, cool, done. Anyway, we'll move on from that. I mean, it looked good. I mean, there's Kopesh's, so that I'm partly sold, which is the Egyptian sword for everybody playing at home. The fucking weird curved one. Anyway, Yeah, I don't know. Look, it looks cool, and I like the idea of kind of taking some of that clockwork magic out of it that you kind of had, where it's like, okay, I've got hidden guns on strings and claws and shit like that. Like, it'd be nice to take it to sort of like a alternate history tech, if that makes sense. Like, just taking it down to its bare bones, I think will be pretty interesting.
Yeah. Alright, so let's talk Beyond Good and Evil 2, which...
Oh, yeah, alright.
People have been clamouring for this for years. There was a really funny tweet that went out by the fake Kaz Hirai PlayStation executive account, where he reminded everyone that Beyond Good and Evil 2 has been announced. It was announced before the announcement and release of The Last Guardian, which we know the Last Guardian story, so it's really amusing that he pointed out that little fact. But we saw Beyond Good and Evil 2,
which was their kind of surprise end. So,
it was their big end.
Spoilers, that happened at the end.
It wasn't Splinter Cell.
Yeah,
damn it.
No 3 green lights, but pigmen.
This was really cool. Really abusive pigmen.
Yeah, well,
I suppose the monkey had a bit to say as well, but
yeah, there was some words.
It's certainly a big change of tone. Like the previous Beyond Good and Evil 2 and Beyond Good and Evil, and this is set before the original.
Yes,
Beyond
a sequel that's a prequel.
Yeah.
Which seems to be the current trend. Fuck it. If you've got more to tell about your story, sure, do it. Why not?
It was the original one was certainly more family friendly in terms of the dialogue, in terms of, I mean, we don't see any gameplay in this. It's a purely CG trailer. But this is got a far darker tone, far more mature tone, and then there's plenty of language thrown about.
Yeah, we were talking before a bit of a Fifth Element vibe to it as well.
You were really quite taken by that.
Yeah, I like that concept. It's a great movie in my opinion, and yeah, I like the idea of something like that. And I definitely think that if someone was to go out and make a game that was set in a world very similar to a Fifth Element, not necessarily as dark as like a Blade Runner or something like that, but definitely kind of akin to that, I think that would be really cool. And if this is something like that, where you've got metropolises where there's traffic in the air going in like three dimensions, I think that could be really cool.
And you could tell that this meant a lot to people at Ubisoft. Like they closed with it, and then they made sure, like they wheeled out the whole team. Michel Ancel was at the top, and he looked like he could have burst into tears at any given moment.
And
there.
Nearly did. I think.
Nearly did. And so the girl that was up there, I don't recall her name. Sorry. But yeah, so did the girl that was up there with him. So. I'm thrilled for him. This has clearly been... I mean, people have wanted it. Even though the original Beyond Good and Evil didn't sell very well, there was this hardcore audience that just adored it.
Has it sold well since? Because it has come to Steam and stuff. It's
probably gotten the Psychonauts sort of treatment where, because it got released on absolutely every platform, more than enough people have played it, which is probably why they've ultimately made the decision they have.
Yeah.
It did get remastered and put on PS3 and 360. Mm-hmm. It has come to Steam, I believe.
Yes, I've got it in my library somewhere.
Cool. So I guess the time's come where maybe Ubisoft can justify it. But it is a very different tone.
And who knows, like the time may have already come, because I think they said early, was it early to mid? Did they say?
They didn't suggest anything date-wise.
Didn't they? I know that they say 2018.
They kept this. No, they.
Oh really?
They didn't say anything, and I think that's the right way. Be really cagey about it, because you don't want, with a game like this where people have been waiting for so long. You don't want to set any expectations.
Yeah, that's true. I suppose.
Like I think about The Last Guardian specifically, where they said they put out the trailer when it finally came back. They go, it's coming out 2017, and then. Got a release date for 2017, and then it fell, like it got delayed, and it only just squeaked into the end of 2017. I think if Sony had to roll and go, we're so sorry, it's coming out 2018, people would have lost their minds.
Yeah, it's true.
So I think it's safe to not put anything there.
Yeah, and look, it's interesting to know that thing could be anything really.
Yeah,
like
sure.
Who knows if it'll have like the same kind of combat or photography, or who knows? It could be really anything.
No,
which is interesting.
I completely agree. Something else that people have been really anticipating going into this particular press conference was Far Cry 5.
Yes.
This new American setting. We got teased 3 weeks ago, whatever it was. Little vignette snippets of the different kind of key characters that might be able to help you. And now we saw some game. We got a trailer where they were singing in a church, and that was sufficiently creepy.
Yes.
But then we...
Most churches are. I don't give a fuck.
To anyone religious out there.
Churches are creepy. That's why they're in horror video games.
Yeah, fair enough, I suppose. But then we jump into some gameplay and we see water towers, so we think, okay, maybe we've got some vantage points and those sorts of things again that we might like the old towers that we would climb. But we see ultimately builds up to, and you'll see it in the footage here. Ultimately builds up to a fairly bloody, violent sort of encounter.
It actually made me think a lot of the new Ghost Recon game of putting people in Wildlands, just putting people in position, because you basically set up a sniper, and you give them the take them out command, and then you start your gunfight. Like it definitely, yes, there's a little bit of sneaking, but it doesn't really look like it's that real stealth game that 3 and 4 were.
Yeah, it does seem like it's more leveraging, and maybe they talk about online co-op. Obviously, you're not going to have someone controlling the dog Boomer who looks awesome, but
not since Call of Duty.
Jesus,
fuck.
Let's not talk.
Fable.
But maybe when it comes to online co-op, you can have someone that's assuming the role of those guys and jumping in the plane and shooting them down and all that sort of stuff. Or maybe it's just really cleverly done in terms of
who knows? Maybe it's like a real bombastic, hey, really fuck everything.
Like, here you go, you're up here, fire.
Or maybe it's
bang, 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 dog comes charging through.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden,
maybe it's going loud rather than going quiet, which it has been over the last couple of games. Maybe they want to get rid of that because, if you look at something like a Blood Dragon, that was kind of a going loud, but using the same engine, I guess, and that was still quite fun. Yeah. So who knows? Maybe they're using the experience that they've had with Wildlands or something like that, and saying, okay, well, maybe this game doesn't necessarily. Maybe we can give you the more options of going in quiet or going in really loud and still being quite successful.
What I am wondering is, when are we going to have the moment where someone lights a field of weed on?
Where's the dubstep? Yeah, whereas. Look, he's hoping they do something cool like that. Maybe it'd be the church. Who knows?
And in case you haven't noticed, with the 3 or 4 different screens where it keeps popping up at the end of this trailer, February 27th. So
with 3 different versions, it looks like.
Yeah.
Get your collectors on.
Gold, deluxe, and then the stock standard one. Next thing, and this is how they opened up the press conference.
Wasn't this an opening? Didn't this change some opinions?
Yeah. So we've known about this Mario and Rabbids game for a little while. We've been laughing and scoffing.
Yeah, everyone has laughed at it already.
And then they showed it.
Princess Peach has never looked so good.
They rolled out Mr. Miyamoto to talk about the game as much as he can, given the language barrier there. You got someone speaking Japanese only, talking to a Frenchman who Yves Guillemot was out there at the time. It was a bit of a mess.
But you know what? There have been definitely a lot of conferences where it has been a non-English speaker.
Yeah,
and
translators.
It doesn't it's usually not very interesting. But Nintendo or Nintendo affiliates usually always have a way of keeping it interesting.
Yeah.
Whether it be short phrases or engaging conversation, that type of stuff. Which it was. It was good to see. The props were a bit much. I think the prop guns, probably a bit much, but
it was a bit of stupid fun. I think it's Ubisoft embraced a little bit of the Nintendo craziness and brought it into the press conference, and I think it was good. One of the bits that really we haven't really spoken too much about the game itself.
Yeah,
one of the bits that really impressed me there is that Yves Guillemot at one point took a moment to kind of recognise one of the lead designers of the game who was sitting in the crowd watching. And then Mr. Miyamoto had a little bit of a chat about him and talked about kind of how proud and impressed he was by what he was doing. And you could visibly see that developer in the crowd.
Yeah, getting quite
emotional. It's quite clear that he had a ton of respect for Miyamoto, and to get that sort of praise, seemed to have made his career.
Miyamoto's a game designer's game designer. He's... And that's the thing, Miyamoto himself, obviously via his translator, said that he told them, do not make a platformer, just make something different. Yeah. And they definitely have.
Because we're making one, it's called Mario Odyssey, it's coming out at the end of the year.
We're doing this. But it was really cool because it's fucking like Mario XCOM, basically.
So it's this tactical top-down, but then there's these other
like
elements.
turn-based with
like Mario's
cover
already in
and
one spot, and then if you want, little Peach Rabbid can run over and get sprung up on his feet and give her extra distance, which then gives her the cover she needs.
Which is
to turn around and fire around the corner.
And as I was saying to you, like a lot of those sorts of things, like in something like an XCOM or even like a tabletop game, you would be able to have, I think it's like your AP points or something like that, where it's like, okay, you can move this amount of distance and then shoot, or you can move twice as much distance if you don't shoot. Something like that. And it's kind of, I mean, you're comboing with your existing characters you've got on the field, but it's kind of got a similar, I suppose, result in that you can, okay, if I run over here, hit an enemy, and then run back to Mario, I can then get launched over here and then use one of the classic Mario blocks as cover, and then I can shoot with Mario and then set him into like a hero mode, which if an enemy moves and I see them, you know, I'll pop a shot at them, which is very much like I think it's like Overwatch or something like that, which is not the video game, but the mode in tabletop games where you're basically sitting there prepared, and it's like if someone comes in, you basically open fire. You get like priority attack even on their turn. So like cool, interesting stuff like that if you're interested in your tactics and things like that. Which is great because, I mean, like you were saying at the start of it, you actually mentioned Paper Mario and stuff like that, or even, you know, Superstar Saga, where they are Mario RPGs, and this is a different kind of RPG. And it's really interesting to see them go this way, and I really think there's a lot of scope that they could have.
They put a lot of time and care into it, which I think is really important.
Yeah,
we've seen other companies take on,
and it was really nice to look at.
We see Sega doing, you know, the Olympics and all that sort of thing.
Yeah,
and then we see what Ubisoft's done here, and they said they've spent like 3 years on it, probably because they didn't want to release it on the Wii U, because they wanted to actually sell copies of the game.
Yeah, right.
But it really looks good.
It was a stunning looking game.
I could see. I was watching my Twitter feed at the time, and I'm visibly seeing this change in perception. People initially scoffing, "Oh, here we go, Mario Rabbids, blah blah blah. We've had our fun in the last couple of weeks, taking the piss out of it." And then all of a sudden, and myself,
video of the game
at the same
hits.
time going, hang on a second.
There's
something here.
Yeah, this looks.
Visually looks good, and then hang on, there's some substance to this, and it was great.
I was definitely quite shocked by the gameplay. Like, I was just like, oh shit, that's straight up a fucking tactics Mario game. And then thinking about, oh okay, well, like, what could that mean in the Mario universe? Like placing down a bullet bill turret as like an actual turret, or you know, just crazy stuff like that. I mean, that probably is not a
lot of possibilities.
Yeah, like even for future,
for
like it could definitely be a spin-off Mario series. Now, whether Ubisoft makes it or Nintendo makes it, or
whether it has Rabbids or not,
Square makes it, or who the fuck cares? Like it's a really interesting like avenue that I guess hasn't really been explored. And obviously because, you know, look, Mario's not running around usually toting a Mega Man gun, but I mean, who cares? It looks kind of interesting, and it looks like it'd be a lot of fun. And I'm especially hoping for maybe some online multiplayer, something like that. That could be really fun. So I guess here's your Advance Wars, everyone. It took Ubisoft to make it.
It's coming at the end of August, which is really quite soon.
Really close.
That's fantastic. We'll move on though. So next on our list is
You can do it.
Hidden.
The Hidden game coming out from Ubisoft
The TV is taking a moment here. Pad, there we go. Skull and Bones, which typical Ubisoft. It managed to leak just a couple minutes before the trailer went up. It started popping up in different places, and then sure enough, a trailer emerges a few minutes later.
Hey, you like that Sea of Thieves thing?
Very Sea of Thieves, only minus the humour and the
whimsy.
The whimsy of it. They showed quite a lot of it. So in this case, we've got
effectively like a mission's worth, as well as just showing you how the game looks. And
so we're just going to show the trailer in this case, but there's a fairly meaty demo of how the game kind of works.
Yep.
It looks very, very. I mean, I think after seeing the success that Assassin's Creed Black Flag garnered, Ubisoft had made it fairly clear they were going to explore ideas, and this is where it's finally.
Yeah, all those people that said, hey, that boat stuff in Black Flag was cool, if you just made a game of that, I'd buy it. Here's your chance.
Yeah, but like I said, minus that kind of whimsy and all that sort of stuff that we're seeing in Sea of Thieves, this is coming out in 2018. far more mature tone than what we're seeing in
They also
Civ.
spoke a lot about things like PvP and 5-on-5 and like seasons and like a very competitive. Like they were using effectively competitive shooter terms to describe this game, which for me was personally a bit of a turn off.
They're taking it too seriously for what you. Well,
it's not what I'm in for. Like, if you want to say that, okay, like a Sea of Thieves is, a massive multiplayer thing that you do need to be online and playing with other people for, but if it's just this, hey, cooperative, let's join up and like pillage some shit,
plunder,
and whereas this definitely seems like a, hey, my fleet is going to be better than your fleet, and I'm going to like 360 no scope you with a ship cannon. Like, that's just the feel that I got, which was kind of a bit of a turn off for me, but it looks really nice. It really, really looks nice.
It looks sharp.
And with the gameplay they showed, there was a lot of strategy to the movements. Like, one ship had a battering ram and another ship was like heavily well armored, so like you would put you would swiftly push the heavily well armored in between like a bit of a ship fire to sort of take some of the brunt of it. Then the other one would fire shots, and then the other one came in and battering rammed. It was this really like tight play, which was kind of interesting as well.
I did certainly notice in this more on the UI side, but even like they've ripped a lot of Assassin's Creed for the Black Flag and even Rogue. Like a lot of it's just come straight out and been dragged and dropped into it, and it worked really well in Black Flag. But like I'm seeing the just from the visual aspect of how this thing looks when you're lining up to shoot down the line straight towards an oncoming ship, you're facing it and I don't know what cannons they're the ones, but the ones that fire straight ahead. You could see
front side cannons.
Hey?
Front side? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, because the ones on the side...
We've clearly not been pirates
before. Clearly not open water pirates before.
Yes, good point. But like everything, it's smacked of exactly what I've seen and played in Black Flag before. Like, okay, cool. It worked. And it worked well there.
If it ain't broke, like
polish it and that's it. So look, they hint at some weird, more fantasy elements. I mean, like there's a bit right at the end of the trailer where just boat emerges from the ocean. It's been ripped into the ocean, and then something bursts back out of it.
And like maybe
a kraken's come through and
you can see the.
Oh, did you see?
You can see through the water that there's an outline of tentacles and all sorts of shit.
I missed that bit in there, so I'll have to rewatch that at some point. But that'll be cool.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah, like they could do some cool stuff with that too.
Yeah, coming 2018, cool new IP. Go for it, Ubisoft. I'm looking forward to see what you've got.
Yeah, I mean, look, not for me personally, but it's still very interesting. Yeah, for sure.
So, look, we're kind of getting towards the end now, but we've got a bit of South Park to get through. The first one we're going to go through is the mobile game, and at first I'm going, what the hell is this? Like, there's a phone swinging, and then we recognise the voice.
Yeah.
Hang on a second. This feels familiar. So, at that point, we're getting I don't know what sort of game would we call it? It's like there's cards in it.
I guess they're probably using the combat
RPG.
from. Yeah, they're probably going to be using the combat from Stick of Truth or even the Fractured But Whole, and probably just putting a mobile spin on it, like collecting cards.
There's the cards, and it could be fun. It's something that I'd want to see more of before I potentially invest or microtransact or whatever the hell it is they
that's the thing.
Models. They didn't talk about any of that sort of stuff.
They haven't even said, hey, look, this will be free to play and you'll be buying cards. They haven't said that this is just a straight up purchase.
Yeah, there's not much they say. It's going to be the usual wild and wacky and stupid South Park humour, and it'll probably be good as a result. It's coming 2017. So.
Yeah.
Though knowing the fact that it's a South Park game, it'll probably get delayed till 2019 or something.
Yeah.
Just like the next game, which has been delayed a million times. So we're now on to
the Fractured But Whole.
We got a new trailer. We already know the release date. That came out a little bit before E3. It didn't really tell us all that much. This particular trailer.
No, I think this was just probably a pulse check saying, "Hey, this still exists."
Yeah, we'll see you soon, sort of thing. It'll be fun. I really enjoyed the Stick of Truth. Myself and Angelica played the Fractured But Whole when we went to RTX beginning of the year. We enjoyed it there, despite the fact that we were very limited in the amount of time we had to play and the choices that we could make. we basically had Ubisoft people breathing down our necks the entirety of the thing. I went to go pick the. I can't. There was for some reason one of the character types wasn't blacked out like Ubisoft had wanted. No, that's the one I naturally had gone to go pick. No, sir. I need you to pick the. I think it was the speedster, your Barry Allen character.
Yeah, right.
Which is a bit of a shame because I would have loved to have seen what that was. But the game itself, it's not that far away. It's coming in October. It's going to be funny, I'm sure.
It better be.
It's a South Park game, and that's what it's leaning on. I think without that humour,
if the jokes fall flat, so will the game.
Yeah,
I guess.
But they managed to make it work last time. Despite the fact that the jokes straight out the gate are going to be dated, just because of
by nature of how long it's taken.
They made it work last time, so I'm sure they'll make it work this time. So yeah, South Park, it's coming October 17th. We've got a couple more things to go through.
Provided it doesn't get delayed again, of course.
Yeah, provided it doesn't get delayed again. We've got 4 more things that we're going to go through. So
yeah, it was a meatier press conference than I feel like any of the other sort of lower tier companies.
And despite the leaks, there was surprises still. So Beyond Good and Evil and
Skull and Bones, technically.
And then this next one's a Starlink, which is a toys to life kind of thing, but more adult thing.
Yeah. Have you seen The Last Starfighter? You should check that out.
If you haven't, you should, I guess. This is really quite interesting because one of the first things we see, so we see this ship flying through, and then all of a sudden, the first thing that we saw was actually the Switch control, the Joy-Cons and everything, and slamming something in the middle of it. So
I thought it was going to be like an Amiibo style thing where they're going to be like, hey, we've partnered up with Nintendo again to give you this NFC business, but
we're quick to go,
that's interesting.
Another Switch exclusive, great. And then you start to see the PlayStation 4 DualShock,
which is
the Xbox One controller.
Even more confusing because if it's going to bolt onto the middle of it, that's where your joysticks are. Firstly, secondly, there's no connection of any sort that you can have unless it plugs into the audio jack or some shit.
Potentially, I don't know what's the EXT port there. I don't know what that stands for, but. Otherwise, maybe it comes with I don't know.
Isn't that for headphones and shit? I don't.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure.
Keyboards.
But, maybe they've made it work in that particular way. The Switch one was certainly the easy one because it looks like they've basically created a little cradle in the middle there that you just done.
Yeah, who knows what this means?
The ships themselves have little opposable bits. I'm not hugely certain that this will be particularly successful. Toys to Life is a thing that's kind of waned in its popularity in the last couple of years. We've seen the death of Disney Infinity. Skylanders has taken the year off. Lego is doing okay, but I think it's mostly because it's the IP that it's leveraging. It's bringing out Simpsons,
Marvel.
They're doing all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I just don't know that this, with its more mature tone and being completely new, it's not attached to any IP of any sort, and it's targeting adults, not kids.
I guess it really all depends on the price point, I suppose. If it's very expensive, then it's certainly not going to catch because the people that it's aimed at are going to be like, no, man, I got fucking bills to pay and shit. I can't afford toys.
Yeah, and I can't even say it's for my kids.
Yeah, because from what I can see, it looked like little small, definitely choking hazard style parts.
There's bits there that could cause some real problems.
Let's move on to this next blockbuster.
I was a little bit steep, right? I've been informed by Matt, our incredible editor, that actually Steep performed sales-wise a little bit better than I was giving it credit for. It's shifted over 1 million units, and apparently it's got this little hardened community that keeps coming back to it. Which then explains why Ubisoft brought out this Winter Olympics themed expansion that's coming at the end of the year. Good on them, I suppose.
Sure.
Steep doesn't really capture my interest, but
I mean, EA doesn't make extreme sports games anymore, so someone's got it, right? And it's certainly not going to be Mario and Sonic.
Did it have much snowboarding in it? I can see it in this trailer. Did it have much snowboarding in it? Because
I'm pretty sure.
Hang on, 1080? This could be the closest we get to 1080.
No, it'll be serious. It won't be arcadey. 1080 was.
It's a shame. I love 1080.
Hey, look, I love SSX. You're not going to see them flipping the board off and spinning it and catching it and doing triple kick flips with a side of lemon. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, fair enough.
But I mean, it is what it is. Like, it's
coming December. It's themed around the upcoming Winter Olympics. I'm not even going to try and pronounce the city, the place that it's set in this year. That was a real mouthful. See if you can work it out, having watched the trailer in the corner of the screen.
Yes. That thing.
It was, yeah. Cool.
I don't know. More steep. If you like steep,
I'm thrilled for the community that's really into it. The next one messed with us a little bit. So it's the Crew
Inception.
2
the video game.
with Inception. You'll soon see that the world starts warping around and becoming more like a cube, but we
apparently
see
has no effect on gameplay. It was not relevant at all.
A single thing about it, but we see the cars, we see planes, we see motorbikes.
Planes, trains, and automobiles. Basically,
there's a bit going on.
There was cars, bikes, boats, planes. I think
now, you weren't super
Formula
enamored with the original.
So I got it for free, and I still didn't enjoy it all that much. It had like a very Need for Speed story to it about like, I've been in prison and redemption, and I was part of a gang, and I got to destroy a gang.
Woe is me, sort of.
Yeah, I don't like this. Definitely doesn't look like it has any of that. It still might. I don't really know how that situation resolved because I never really finished the Crew. The Crew had some interesting stuff regarding like
the vibe I get is it was close but not quite.
Yeah, look, the controls just didn't work for me. The story was kind of throwaway, but throwaway in the same way that most of the Need for Speed ones are. So it was kind of, whatever, cool, I'm down, I guess. It was interesting in terms of the driving across the nation. Like, it was like a miniaturized USA. Yeah. So you could, drive from like Vegas to Chicago. It would be a much smaller, but like all of the sort of major points were there. Like even like St. Louis and places like that. And there was like challenges along the way that would kind of dynamically pop up, and you could do them and earn yourself like new gear on the way that you could just sort of auto equip on the spot as you're driving. Which all that stuff's very neat. I mean, for me, that it just didn't handle like I wanted it to. So if they nail that,
my initial concern when we were watching this is, oh my god, they're kind of try and come out at the same time as Need for Speed and Forza 7 and presumably Gran Turismo. We'll find out, and I guess we're probably about an hour away by the time we're recording this.
Gran Turismo better be releasing this year.
Yeah, for your draft, good point.
Yeah.
But turns out that it's coming early next year.
Yep.
Which I think is the right window for it.
Yes.
Because Project Cars 2 is also coming out.
Yes, that's right.
In that window as well. So there was a lot for it to compete with, and I think that would have been a real problem for them. Not going to be as much of a problem now.
Yeah.
Which is good for them.
Yes, it is.
Now we've got one more game that we're going to talk about before we just kind of wrap up this whole press conference.
Yep.
And it stars Elijah Wood. So Frodo from Lord of the Rings is known.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, he was in Sin City, right?
Yeah, true. But everyone knows him from Lord of the Rings.
Sure.
This game's called... they're still very much talking about
Transference?
concepts at this point. But yeah, I think it was Transference or something to that effect. Transference. From this studio called Spectavision. It's VR, was that right?
Yeah, I think they mentioned Gear at one point, so does that mean it's going to be a Gear VR game? I don't know.
That'd be an interesting decision. I'd imagine they'll go
probably across the board.
Broad.
I did not catch a huge amount of this trailer. You were talking a lot. But I mean, look, it was a very short trailer. It didn't really show a huge amount of stuff. Like, it was very difficult to tell what was gameplay, what was PR, what was anything really. It looks like some level of a psychological experience or horror experience.
Basically, what Elijah Wood's hinting at here is that they've done a bunch of research on how certain types of VR stuff impacts people emotionally in terms of scares and various other emotions, and it looks
but I think that's
this research to make something with Ubisoft that may or may not scare the pants off us, or...
But that's the thing, I couldn't actually tell, because obviously you can see that they're not wearing real VR headsets, so I can't tell if that's actually part of the PR setup type thing, or whether it's actually, hey, this is our pitch, or whether this is just, additional game footage that's going to be in the game. Hey, check me out, I'm Elijah Wood playing Elijah Wood inside this VR game.
Yeah.
It wasn't really very clear. not to
They're
its
going
not
for
to
like
its
a horror or suspense sort of
yeah,
because
not to
there's
its
so much
detriment.
you are
Just
completely safe. You are this. You are that. Interestingly, it says it's coming to PS4, Xbox One, PC, and then it rattles off the
Vive Oculus,
the VR platforms.
Yeah.
There isn't a VR platform for Xbox.
No, there's not.
What the hell's going on?
So then maybe it's got the
Maybe it's still coming on.
Resident
Maybe
Evil
it just
7.
plays like a normal sort of game as well.
I mean,
traditional game, whatever.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's kind of the circumstance of the way that they showed that trailer. It was okay. Well, is it a VR game? Is it an experience that's talking about VR, and then by putting it into VR makes it more immersive? I don't know.
Yeah, it's a better experience in VR, but you can still play it without.
Yeah, again, Resident Evil 7.
Yeah.
I would use as a milestone for that.
So, general pulse on Ubisoft across the board. You've seen a whole bunch of stuff now that they've shown.
It was definitely more engaging than both the EA and the Bethesda one combined.
What are some of the big game takeaways for you from that conference? For me, it's mostly about Beyond Good and Evil, Assassin's Creed, and Skull and Bones. They're the big takeaways I've got there. Like I couldn't really care less about the crew. I couldn't really care less about Starlink, and a few of those other ones.
I mean, Mario was
Just
interesting.
Dance was there. Oh yeah, Mario. Sorry, good point. And I think that just means that we won't see it, or we'll see a very small piece of it.
Perhaps.
In the
I don't know. Look, not very. I mean, Far Cry, I guess, is probably the one.
Yeah,
if I had to pick one, I don't know. Look,
You're still not a big Ubisoft game fan.
Not really, no. And it's nothing that they do wrong. It's just that there's just not a lot that they do that really interests me.
Yeah.
I mean,
It just doesn't appeal to you.
yeah. I mean, I'm well and truly, I should say, over their formula for open world games.
Yeah.
Because it's the same, and it's just the same thing injected in every time. Assassin's Creed, Fallout, Far Cry.
Yeah.
Like all of them have that same climb a tower, get your checkpoints and your side missions and your hunting missions and all that sort of shit. It's all the same, and kind of like I've played that a few times already. So it'll be nice to see them do something more interesting. Hopefully, Far Cry is different. It looks sort of markedly, it looks markedly different. So who knows? I don't know.
I won't lie. I'm disappointed that Splinter Cell wasn't there, but given what they did with Beyond Good and Evil and Skull and Bones, like they're busy. They're creating things that interest me.
Yeah.
How long some of those take, especially Beyond Good and Evil, is anyone's guess. But they've got a lot going on. They're clearly not just sitting on their hands. The thing that I'll always applaud Ubisoft for is they're looking to try things. They're looking to establish.
Yeah, they're looking
IP,
to take some risks, do some new
which,
thing.
Not all those things hit the mark.
And I think that's probably
that's good.
I think that's probably what interested Nintendo, I guess, because like Miyamoto said on stage, do something different, and they certainly have.
Yeah.
And I think
It looks cool.
Yeah, no, it does. That's probably the most interesting part. Like, I think a lot of these, and that's kind of what the problem I have with their open world games is. It kind of gets a little stagnant.
Same.
But unlike a lot of the other developers, I mean, Bethesda was literally showing the same stuff. Like it was more Fallout 4, more Doom, more Wolfenstein, more this, more that.
Sure.
Like there was nothing really vastly different that they were trying to really show. And you could even argue the same about EA, probably minus Anthem, which that looked probably cool. That's probably
a way out.
And a way out, you're right. But again, most of the other stuff was just, hey, here's some more of the same.
Sports, or we're leveraging Star Wars.
Yeah, so I don't know. Look, it was definitely cool to see them take stuff in a different direction. Yeah. So that's.
And even, look, you can make the argument going the other way that Skull and Bones is just leveraging what they did in Assassin's Creed, but now there's.
But that was only a side.
That was a portion. It was a massive portion of Black Flag, but.
But the whole progression of it was not like
for sure.
The progression
so much
of it.
They've got to build on top to keep people engaged because now the boat thing is the experience.
Because they had the same elements in Rogue, didn't they?
Yeah.
But even still, it wasn't like a significant portion of the game. It was. When I say portion, I mean like it wasn't what you were investing in. You're investing in your character.
It was still you climbing around the islands and finding treasure.
Yeah,
and
like
sort of thing. Now you don't have that. Now it's fight for survival on the rough seas. Yeah, gorgeous looking seas.
I mean, I still liked I still prefer the Sea of Thieves.
Sea of Thieves, yeah, because the stylistic thing.
No, just
look, I think
like
given the choice, I
the
think
water.
if you here's 2 games, gun to your head, pick one. I'd be picking Sea of Thieves still at this point. It's got that whimsy aspect you're talking about. I like the visual style more. Cause, I mean, Skull and Bones looks fantastic. It's a very realistic looking thing, and we've got lots of realism out there in games.
Yeah, you're probably a little too gritty for my taste.
But I don't see at this point any reason why. I love pirates.
Yeah, pirates are great.
I don't see any reason why I probably won't consider at least consider both.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll certainly get. What's its name? The Xbox One. I've just gone blank. Sea of Thieves. I'll certainly get Sea of Thieves, and then I'll consider the rest.
I was just here, deer in the headlights. I'm like,
what
do you mean? I don't know. Like the thing you were thinking of. Yeah. I can't.
Look, for me, I am a bit more of a Ubisoft game fan. I do agree with the points that a few of those games are getting very samey. Climb the tower, blah 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 blah. Seems like they're shaking that up a bit. We're seeing that in Far Cry. I'm hopeful that they didn't show at any point during the Assassin's Creed demo someone climbing up to the top of a place and then staring down and jumping into a big bale of hay.
Yeah, that'd kind of suck if you tried that on a pyramid because they go out quite far, so it'd just be a face plant into...
Here's your surface.
Yeah.
Or you just jump, slide, lip.
Yeah.
We didn't see any of that, and that's promising.
Skateboarding. Skateboarding confirmed.
Yeah.
Tony Hawk confirmed for Assassin's Creed Origins.
EA sold the rights to Skate to Ubisoft, and they're doing Skate 4.
Sure, why not? I'd buy it.
In Egypt.
Yeah. Ezio as a Tony Hawk Pro Skater character, I'd buy it.
Yeah. Good conference overall. Pretty happy with it. They're doing really cool things.
It was engaging, even if there weren't games that I'm like, I'm going to be clamoring to pick up. Like it was still engaging because they didn't none of the games. Again, Skull and Bones for me a little bit, but none of the games really overstayed their welcome. They were just like, okay, here's the thing. Again, Skull and Bones was just mainly because they were showing off what it is. They were showing off the design for it, and they're like, "And cool, now we're going to show you a full game of it," or like a portion of the game. Yeah, which look, that stretched a while,
and that's the approach they took with For Honor in the past as well.
Yeah, which they if they're trying to do something very, again, markedly different from mostly anything they've done before, it makes sense.
Yeah,
especially if you're going to make it multiplayer. Like you've got to be like, here's how we're going to create a fan base.
It's going to be like.
Yeah, here's.
You've got to give people a fairly good representation of what the experience is going to be like.
Yeah, exactly.
When you're buying that game, you're buying to invest in it for a while.
Correct.
So I guess that is Ubisoft now in a nutshell. We're all done with that. We've got one more press conference in terms of the actual press conferences. We've got Nintendo still to come down the track. But we've got one more press conference to go.
Is that even still technically a press conference?
No, they're calling it a...
Direct?
Yeah, it's not a direct this year. It's a digital presentation or something to that effect.
Oh, okay.
We've got Sony to go. That is a bit over an hour away as of when we record this. Man, the hype's getting real. But that is Ubisoft.
It'll be a thing.
It'll be an awesome thing. Make sure to please visit player2.net.au for all the awesome written content. There are reviews and impressions and summaries of everything you've seen at E3. And a bunch more, presumably it's all starting to go up, news posts, etc, etc. Please like, share and subscribe to this channel where we could really do with your support. It's awesome. We're trying to cover everything E3.
Help us win E3.
We'll beat EA. We'll beat Bethesda.
Yeah,
at the very least.
Mate, pass me my phone so I could phone it in.
I'll give you mine. I don't know where yours is. Please like, share and subscribe. Paul James P2 on Twitter, Player2AU on Twitter. He doesn't do the Twitterverse.
No.
But that's fine, Jay.
I'm too angry for the internet.
Yeah. But otherwise, thank you very much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow for PlayStation. Enjoy what's left of E3.
Yeah, who the fuck knows? Let's do it.